As I just mentioned, the Sky News host Lei has spoken earlier to a former Chinese spy who was previously stationed in Thailand. He joins us live from Melbourne now. So shed some light for us on what groups are actually really vulnerable to this sort of infiltration in Australia.
Hi there, Ashley. When this Canberra case first broke, of course, people might be surprised that there was actually spying going on an Australian Buddhist organisation in Canberra. But the issue is anything that has ties to China, any local community organisation that may be able to influence people, affect politics, they are all the CCP is very much interested in these areas. So I caught up with Eric, the spy, the former Chinese spy, and it was fascinating to hear about how the Chinese secret police thinks and works. For example, they use strong business ties to further their spying work. Or, for example, they would spend a long time and expend a lot of energy and money in order to build a network up from the periphery. And what I took away from that conversation was that he feels like Australia's counter-interference is actually stepping up, because he feels like this is probably the first time that spying work on a local community organisation has been caught out. And, that level of sensitivity he feels is quite warranted. So I started by asking him what this arrested woman may have been doing, spying on a Buddhist organisation. Take a listen. Why do you think she is trying to collect intel on a Buddhist group?
根据现有的报道来看的话，原因比较明显。
According to current reports, the reason is obvious, because this religious organisation has branches in China. To the CCP, any religious group that is not public must be monitored and intel collected on it. Using the Australian unit to infiltrate seems a good choice.
So what happens to the intel that's gathered?
Once the spy feeds the intel back to the level above, this intel and other information will be consolidated and reported to senior levels, but the intel will be carefully chosen and filtered so as to protect the agent. The intel will be gleaned for information on the organisation's members in China, and using that to decide whether to wrap things up or continue spying.
So what types of groups are more vulnerable to infiltration and interference in Australia?
我想主要有两种。
Two types: those with connections to China, for example in politics and religion, and those with branches in China and may affect China's political security. The CCP would be extremely interested. We know that ensuring political security is a priority for them. Another type is those local organisations with large amounts of sensitive data, like telephone numbers and personal data. For example, after the report on me came out last year, I received a strange call from Thailand. That was not a coincidence. I think Australia's telecom system has already been infiltrated.
个体信息啊这些。
Yes, it's quite ironic, Ashley, that the so-called spy, according to China, interviewing a former Chinese spy, talking about an arrested Chinese spy. And Eric also shared with Sky News how to spot a spy in Australia and how the Chinese spy work actually does get carried out in Australia. And he has a personal message for those who are being courted by the Chinese. So that'll be coming up in the next hour. Back to you, Ashley.
We'll look forward to that. Definitely a very unique perspective. Thank you so much, Lei. Appreciate that.